For years, Ford truck owners have lived with one of the most controversial transmissions in modern automotive history. What was supposed to be a technological breakthrough became a constant topic of debate across forums, dealerships, and truck communities nationwide. Now, for the 2026 model year, Ford is making some of the most significant changes ever applied to its 10-speed automatic transmission, and the results could finally reshape its reputation. When Ford and General Motors jointly developed the 10-speed automatic nearly a decade ago, expectations were enormous. The transmission promised better fuel economy, faster acceleration, improved towing capability, and smoother power delivery. On paper, it represented the future of drivetrain technology. Reality, however, proved more complicated. Owners began reporting harsh shifts. Gear hunting at low speeds delayed engagement from a stop and unpredictable downshifts during everyday driving. While not every vehicle experienced these issues, the complaints became widespread enough to cast a long shadow over the transmission's reputation. Interestingly, the problem was rarely mechanical. Transmission experts consistently pointed to software calibration as the primary culprit. The transmission's control system was designed to analyze throttle input, vehicle load, road grade, temperature, and driving habits simultaneously. In theory, this level of intelligence should have improved performance. In practice, it often created conflicting decisions that resulted in inconsistent and sometimes frustrating behavior. Over the years, Ford released numerous software updates that improved shift quality, and later versions performed noticeably better than early models, yet the reputation remained. By the early 2020s, 10-speed problems had become a familiar phrase throughout truck culture. Many observers assumed Ford would eventually abandon the transmission altogether. That was never likely. The 10-speed had become deeply integrated across Ford's lineup, powering everything from EcoBoost-equipped F-150s to heavy-duty towing applications and high-performance models. Replacing it would require billions of dollars in development, manufacturing changes, and regulatory certification. More importantly, Ford engineers knew something many critics overlooked. The AI hardware itself was exceptionally strong. The clutch packs, planetary gear sets, and torque handling capabilities were never the primary concern. The transmission wasn't suffering from a fundamental mechanical weakness. Instead, drivers were reacting to how it behaved. That distinction became the foundation of Ford's 2026 strategy. Rather than replacing the transmission, Ford focused on transforming its character. The biggest change centers on what engineers call gear consolidation. One of the most common criticisms of the 10-speed was that it shifted too often. During normal city driving, the transmission constantly moved between gears in pursuit of maximum efficiency, creating a busy and sometimes unsettled driving experience. For 2026, Ford has recalibrated the transmission to hold gears longer, skip unnecessary shifts, and operate more like a refined 6-speed or 8-speed during everyday driving. The philosophy is straightforward. If a shift isn't necessary, it won't happen. That single adjustment dramatically changes how the truck feels from behind the wheel. Ford also targeted another long-standing complaint: overreactive downshifting. Previous calibrations often interpreted minor throttle changes as a request for immediate acceleration, triggering downshifts that drivers neither expected nor wanted. The transmission was constantly trying to predict the future rather than respond to the present. For 2026, that logic has been simplified. Instead of aggressively anticipating driver behavior, the system now prioritizes consistent inputs and smoother responses. Independent calibration specialists describe the change as a return to fundamentals, a transmission that reacts accurately rather than constantly guessing. The result is a calmer, more predictable driving experience. The improvements become even more important when towing. Historically, many of the strongest complaints surfaced while hauling heavy loads. Frequent gear changes and unnecessary downshifts could make the truck feel unsettled, even when performance numbers remained impressive. Ford made towing behavior a major priority for 2026. The updated software keeps the transmission locked into fewer gears under load, reducing unnecessary shifting and limiting heat. Generation on steep grades. Downshifts are now based more heavily on actual torque demand rather than simple throttle movement. For drivers pulling 10,000 pounds or more, consistency matters far more than constant gear changes. The result is a truck that feels more stable, more confident, and less busy during demanding towing situations. Hybrid technology also plays an important role in the transmission's evolution. Ford's PowerBoost hybrid system integrates an electric motor directly within the transmission housing. For 2026, engineers further refined the relationship between electric assistance and transmission operation. The electric motor now provides additional torque fill during acceleration, reducing the need for frequent gear changes. Because the motor can instantly deliver torque when needed, the transmission can remain in higher gears without sacrificing responsiveness. This creates a smoother and more natural driving experience while preserving performance. Even non-hybrid models benefit, as many of the calibration improvements developed for hybrid applications have influenced the broader transmission strategy. The bigger story, however, may be what these changes reveal about Ford's future direction. Although the transmission still contains 10 physical gears, it no longer treats all of them equally. In normal driving, the updated calibration behaves more like a highly refined 8-speed transmission, reserving certain ratios for specialized situations such as maximum towing demands or long-distance highway cruising. This reflects a growing industry realization. More gears do not automatically create a better driving experience. What matters is using available gears intelligently. As electrification continues to expand, automakers are increasingly focusing on smoothness, efficiency, and predictability rather than simply increasing gear counts. Ford's 2026 strategy embraces that philosophy. The benefits extend beyond driving feel. Fewer shift events mean reduced clutch activity, lower operating temperatures, and potentially less wear over time. Any automatic transmission tends to last longer when it spends less time constantly changing ratios. By asking less of the hardware during everyday driving, Ford may have improved both refinement and long-term durability. For buyers considering a 2026 Ford F-150, Super Duty, or performance-oriented model, the transmission is no longer the question mark it once was. Instead of abandoning the 10-speed, Ford addressed the root causes behind years of criticism. The hardware remains familiar, but the behavior has been fundamentally reimagined. Ford didn't eliminate the 10-speed automatic. It transformed it. What was once criticized as overly eager and unpredictable has evolved into a smoother, more confident, and more dependable transmission, one that finally delivers the driving experience owners expected from the beginning.